And we're live. Welcome to take two of episode three of the Three IT Guys. With me
Yes.
tonight is Mac Ritter and Daryl Alexander. So, who wants to take things from the top and start going through these topics again? Who's up first?
Staying relevant. What do you have to do to stay relevant, Jeremy?
Well, okay, so the big thing is that you can't stop your education once your degree program or whatever else you're rolled in ends. You've got to keep working towards gaining more knowledge. The way things change, if you stop at the end of your program, you're done. I mean, you're irrelevant as far as the grand scheme of things. You've got to keep reading, looking at websites for IT news, and there's other things you can do on our list. We've got taking courses at a community college or a university. Um, there's in almost any city or town in the U.S. you can find some place within driving distance that you can take classes. So,
Absolutely. I think definitely, to me anyway, a part of being in information technology is so special is because there are a lot of people that are deterred from that, from always researching and always learning new things. I find that a lot of individuals, they want their 2 year or 4 year degree, and then that's it. They want to go work, they want to go do their job, and then that's it. They don't want to keep learning. They just want to learn what they have to do, and then they want to go do that, which is completely fine. But yeah, if you want to be in IT, not even taking courses, just staying current, with your current events in the IT world, whether it just be watching some videos or watching documentaries or reading, tons of reading. Um, there is a lot of IT news that's out there that you definitely have to stay current on and stay relevant with, especially with new programs. You might have a client come up to you and ask you about, oh, did you hear about this new XYZ? And either you have to say no, and then go do some research on it, or maybe you've already done that research and then you can inform them of your knowledge about it. So you definitely got to stay on top of all your stuff. And not all of it, but obviously, if you're into virtualization and programming, then you got to stay relevant in those two things for sure. So,
Well,
Carol,
what? How do both of you think? What I've seen in my few short years in IT is, um, someone goes to school, get a certification, get a job. Job has the say cloud management, the latest cloud management. So for the next 15 to 20 years of his life, he's dealing with this one specific cloud management, all the updates and intricacies and expansion that it does for that particular organization they work for. And 15 years down the line, he's outdated because they came out with 10 or 12 other versions that he didn't stay relevant with because he was so focused on perfecting that one system he was on. And we can take Windows XP, for example, which is, I hear, is a fabulous system, and they quit supporting it. People don't want to upgrade to Vista, to 7, to 10. Right now, there's so many people want to be resistant to 10 because it's a combination between, I guess, Windows 8 and Windows 7. And just because they don't know how to use it, and it took them so long to learn Windows 7, they're comfortable, like you said, Mac, they're comfortable with it, but it's supposed to have better security. They felt they didn't have security issues with Windows 7. So how do you not get locked in or trying to be high performance on one system at a job and stay relevant? Do you just like take maybe an hour or two out? I know Jeremy put me up on something that I took heed to in class, which was he has a subscription or 10, like a whole list of sites that he just checks out every day. So I took like 3 or 4 of them and I rotate them and I check 3 or 4 of them out every day to see what's up. I tried to send I sent you one, Mac, from the place I got the Raspberry Pi 3 from.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to send a forward link to Jeremy, and he's already on their recipient list, so it kicked it back to me. MCM.
Yeah, yep. Definitely, like I said, you just got to keep reading and researching, and certainly that's why our resident guru, Jeremy, we call him the guru because he literally lives his life around IT. I mean, the guy's always doing something. Whether he said that he was watching some Python stuff last week, you said that you were watching Hack 5 or somebody had
iPro TV.
Yeah, he has a subscription to that, and they were talking about Python and kind of he was brushing up on his skills and doing that. That was on a Saturday. He was just taking a day out of his weekend to just watch all those and kind of brush up on his Python skills. And I mean, if that's what you want to do and that's what you want to be good at, then you kind of have to dedicate a lot of your time, your free time, to doing that. So, and I can tell you, yeah, it kind of sucks for your social life or for your relationships. My girlfriend hates it that I'm always on the computer, it seems like. So, but she understands, though, that it's not all play. I'm not on here playing games or just neglecting her. She understands that, I'm learning and I'm researching and I'm trying to grow my knowledge base. But at the same time, it can still be frustrating. You got to delegate time and dedicate, just a couple hours a day to this and that. So, but really, I think it all just depends on you. The more you know, the farther you'll go. So,
I like that saying. Y'all heard it here.
Y'all heard it here. 3 IT guys. Definitely. So staying relevant, taking courses, definitely brush up on your knowledge, or if obviously, if your boss comes to you and says, hey, we got some new Cisco equipment coming in, we need you to configure it, this and that. And if you haven't worked with Cisco in like a year or something, you better brush up on your skills a little bit because your boss is going to be depending on you, and that's part of your responsibility to be able to know how to do that. So, or maybe if he's throwing something new at you, you got to go brush up on it and try to go and learn and figure out as much as you can. That way you're valuable. I mean, really, knowledge is power, but knowledge is also valuable. If your boss thinks you're just a big dum-dum, who's to say they might not cut you at the end of the year? So,
IBM.
Oh man, those poor guys. We were talking about this in take one. Yeah, IBM, the reductions could total up to 14,000 employees worldwide. Yep, and they're calling it employment reconstruction. They're not calling them layoffs. They're calling them employment reconstruction.
What do you think about that, Jeremy?
It's funny you mention IBM because I recently stumbled upon a couple of articles referencing, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so, Apple and IBM formed a strategic alliance. And so for that amount of time, when you come to work at IBM, you would have your choice between a Windows or a Mac laptop.
Wow.
And so what these articles were putting forth as an idea was that, Apple has all this money sitting in the bank just collecting interest, and, it's for the IRS to determine if that money is sitting offshore somewhere. But they do, in fact, have all this money. So there have been a few articles that have put forth the idea of, well, what if Apple bought IBM? And that would be kind of an interesting situation because back in the early days of Apple, I believe Steve Jobs was standing in front of an IBM sign, giving him the bird. So it would be kind of interesting to have that all come full circle and have IBM become a subsidiary of Apple. I don't know as though there's a lot of chance of that actually happening, I don't know how that really fits in Apple's long-term strategic outlook, but it's something that's kind of interesting to ponder.
Well, it is interesting to see where Apple is going because, you know, we all know Steve Jobs passed, and a lot of people may not know this, but there is no original member of the board still on the board. The Apple's, new board is all new. You know, it's all fresh faces, it's all fresh meat, and it's interesting to see where the company is going, or, you know, the design of the products. We've all known that that's been one of Apple's biggest allures, if you will, is just the design of their product. So how it looks, you know, it looks sexy, neat, clean, different from other products, which I think that's still been upholded really well. They have some of the best designers in the world, you know, designing their products and their new market or their new lines. But yeah, Apple's whole committee is all fresh faces. There's no one from the original board still there. So it's definitely, to me anyway, interesting to see where it's going and how it's ending up. But I believe, didn't Lenovo, they bought all the consumer products from IBM, right? And I hear that they're trying to take over the business market of IBM as well.
Wow.
Well, they purchased the PC division and the PC server division, but as far as anything else, IBM is a huge company still. They have a lot of software products. They've still got their mainframe stuff. They've still got their Power Series architecture machines. You know, the chips and infrastructure that powers that. What was it? The AI, the Watson AI that beat the guy on Jeopardy. So they've still got all that stuff under their umbrella. You know, I think Watson becoming a back end for Siri could be a very interesting proposition, but you know, that,
wouldn't that just be a battle of the giants?
you know, that could definitely make things a little more interesting, but you know, they've still got a lot of products that, you know, they're sitting on, and especially their mainframe stuff. As much as I despise mainframe stuff, you know, there are still a lot of key players in our industry that use mainframes. You know, a lot of insurance companies, a lot of financial institutions. You know, all that stuff at some point passes through a mainframe someplace, and you know, there are still efforts underway to, you know, replace those mainframes with racks and racks full of, you know, commodity x86 servers, but that has not been a transition that has been completed yet, and you know, it could be years before that is complete.
Well, do you think, so that since they've cut, it says that they're estimating that they're going to cut 14,000 employees worldwide, and they say that the average salary of an IBM employee is around $70,000. Do you think that they're hurting right now, or are they getting ready to sell another part of the business? Or, you know, what do you think's going on with that? Because, I mean, 14,000 jobs at an average of 70 grand, you know, that's saving quite a bit of money. I mean, do you think they're just hurting right now?
I think it could be a combination of factors. You know, whether it's restructuring from an organizational point of view and combining teams so that some of the teams are just redundant and unneeded. That could be part of it. You know, it's something I don't have a lot of knowledge of the inner workings of IBM. It's a big company. I've never worked for IBM, and so you know, I don't know the inner workings of the company.
Right.
You know, most of what I know about IBM is based on
What we
you know,
read online.
what I've read online and spending, many years working for a Fortune 500 insurance company that happens to have IBM mainframe computers, and having to deal with it that way. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, to me that's just scary. It's like, ooh, man, maybe they could just be trimming some fat. I know that Liquid Web, they changed management and they went around and yeah, they started trimming the fat and laying off a lot of employees. Yeah, so something about somebody told me they laid off like 2/3 of the company, something like that. I mean, yeah, that was quite a bit. But I'd also heard from an inside source. I don't know a ton about Liquid Web. I've never worked there, and I've never applied there either. But I have heard, that there were quite a few people there that, they were qualified, but they weren't really doing anything there. So,
sure,
they just kind of got hired in, off their good graces, and they were certainly contributing, but they weren't necessary. So the new management came in, and I could just kind of see it out of from Office Space. The Bobs came in and so what is it exactly that you do here? Okay, we can afford to lose you. So that's just how I see it playing out in my head, how it went down. But certainly probably was different. But yeah, I thought that was interesting that IBM was cutting some jobs and a significant amount, so it's very noticeable. It's one thing if they're going to lay off, a couple hundred, but when they're laying off 14,000, wow, that's quite a bit. Let's see what's next here.
Oh, back to the learning platform. In class, online, or blended? Matter of fact, Jeremy, you had to actually teach from a blended platform. How did you like that?
Well, I'm still teaching from a blended platform. It's I don't like being put on the spot. It's a blessing and a curse. A lot of days, there are some hurdles that we still need to take care of. I think it's getting better. It's definitely better than when I first took an online course, about 20 years ago. It's definitely progressed from that point. It's just getting some things streamlined. I think there's still a little bit of a disconnect with some of the students that, if they're not coming to class and they're not doing their work, they still seem to think that they're going to get a decent grade, and that's just not the reality of the matter. You've got to keep up on the stuff and turn in your work, or you're not going to like the result. And it's the student that fails himself, not the instructor that fails the student.
Yeah, definitely. I do think though that the students should have a little bit more freedom on whether or not they want to come to class. Maybe I'm not saying that they shouldn't come to class, but I think hey, maybe just I've had a tough week. There's no need for me to actually be there in class. I don't think that the students should be penalized for not coming to class, though. That's my big thing that I don't really agree with, because I know what they had ended up doing at my school was, they used to knock people for not showing up. You used to get attendance points, but then, so what they did was they cut that out. But if you're not there to do the labs, quote unquote, then you're docked points for that. But to me, I don't think that should be, it's just a loophole to still dock you for not coming to class, and I don't think that should be there. I think a lot of kids that go to my school, they have kids or they have other commitments going on all at the same time, and they're coming to school to better themselves. But sometimes you just can't make it all the time. But I don't think that you should be docked for that. I mean, I think that's a little silly to me.
Well, I agree to some extent.
Hmm.
I think if you aren't able to come to class, but you can still finish your lab work, fine. I don't have a problem with that. Now, again, my standard disclaimer applies. This may be a place where I have a philosophical difference from that of my employer, which shall remain nameless. But
Hmm.
um, you know, the bottom line with the lab exercises is, a lot of times we're building in group work into those lab assignments, and you can't do group work if you're working independently,
Right. Right.
unless you were to employ a platform like Google Docs or something similar, and be doing collaborative editing on those documents and participating, and that can all be tracked because it's all date and time stamped whenever you make a change. So,
Hmm.
uh, there's a way to go back and track that and say, oh well, this guy didn't do their work. Now, on the other hand, there's another way that could be used to evaluate some of this stuff that I've used when I was leading up the externship stuff last summer, and that would be at the end of each week for the group projects, you have a little questionnaire that each member of the group fills out, and it amounts to, okay, how much do you think you gave to the project on a scale of 1 to 5? How much do you think your teammates gave on a scale of 1 to 5? And use that as part of the grading criteria. I think that could be a very effective addition to things, and I did use that last summer.
Yeah,
So
I think that's definitely very helpful, and it definitely holds people accountable because we've all had that third wheel that just kind of hits, hangs out in the background and doesn't do anything. So
absolutely.
yeah, there's always one in the bunch. It seems, to me, at least in my experience, very rarely do you get, at least in a school environment, a whole team that's working together. Everyone's contributing and doing their part.
We were a
There's
whole team, Mac. We were a whole team.
Well, yeah, you and I were a whole team. We were the dynamic duo.
Yeah.
We were the exception, I guess. But every other group that seems that I've worked in struggles with that. And to me, it's just a pain in the butt. Because it's like there's always some sort of conflict too of one or two of the members don't agree or don't see something eye to eye, or somebody tries to be a little headstrong and takes the initiative of being kind of the project leader, if you will, or the project manager, and maybe somebody doesn't like that or agree with it, but yet at the same time they're not willing to take on that role or kind of call the shots or say, hey, we should go in this direction or not go in that direction. But there always seems to be that one guy that just kind of sits in the background and is like, yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Sure. So yeah, definitely that, internal auditing, if you will, of checking your classmates and saying, well, how much do you think you contributed, and how much do you think so and so contributed? That's definitely a very good tool to hold people accountable and hey, make sure you're doing your work. So make sure
I
you're
know
pulling your weight.
false advertisement. False advertisement. And when I say that, you can look at any given college commercial that offers a blended learning or online learning, and they say it and they quote it in their brochures. Do this at your own pace. This is you find when you have the time to do it. So if you work a 12-hour shift, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and you want to be able to do your homework, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, then you get into this online environment, and they say, well, everything got to be posted by 9 p.m. every night. What did this, after you didn't get all my money and stuff, now you come with inconvenience when it's not on my time, it's actually on your time. That
Right.
is, and I've been through 3 either full or blended online environments, and they all have these deadlines that contradicts the theory that I could do this on my time, because I like staying up all night. if I could do homework 2 o'clock in the morning and sleep all morning till 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon to start my day, I'll do my homework 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But
Well, I think
time is got to be in by midnight.
Well, I think it's just you can't have say you got 20 students in your class, as an instructor, you can't have 18 of those 20 students handing in or turning in all their work at the end of the semester, saying here you go, it's all done, and then
I agree with a timely manner. Say we had to accelerate the course, so we went by weeks. So everything in this chapter, you even witnessed it. I tried to do the whole Microsoft Office suite like all in 1 week because I was already certified, and I was told no.
Yeah, I do find that goofy, especially with the system that we use. I've been told this as well too, is you can't turn work in ahead of time. And to me, I'm like, well, why? Because it's all cloud-based, it's all online, it's time-stamped, and it's in there. You're not going to lose it. It's there. It's not like I'm turning in all my work physically on a piece of paper and saying, okay, here, hold on to this for, 5 weeks or whatever. I do disagree with that of, you can't turn in work ahead of time. It's like, well, okay, well, I mean, I guess I can just save it on my computer and turn it in as it's needed, but at the same time, it's like, well, why can't I just turn it in, a week or two ahead? It's there. It ain't going anywhere, And yeah, plus Jeremy said it's time stamped, it's dated, and it's timed. I mean, they know when it was turned in and what day it was and what time it was. So, I don't agree with that so much of you can't turn work in ahead of time, but at the same time, I'm sure there's a reason for it. I don't know why. Maybe Jeremy knows. I don't know.
Well, I don't know, but I was going to add that why can't they add a feature to submit an assignment at a future date? So it's uploaded to the system, but it doesn't submit it for grading until the actual due date. I mean, it seems like a trivial thing to add as a feature, because you can go on to your banking site and schedule a bill payment for a future date.
Right.
You can go, and do all kinds of things like that on a schedule. It's a simple concept, but they don't seem to have that available. Or if it is available, somebody has, in their infinite wisdom, gone in and turned it off.
Well, I mean, what can you do about that? But that is a great idea, and that would be really neat.
Program, Mac.
Well, hey, I'm all about it. I did hear. Okay, I did read though that a company in Sweden was they have implanted over 400 employees an RDF or RFID chip in each one of their hands. It's about the size of a grain of rice, and that is kind of like their access card. So if they want to get into a door, boom, they swipe their hand by the reader, and it lets them in. Or they could even pay for things at that building, like a cup of coffee or their lunch, whatever they offer, in-house lunch, things like that. You can pay with it from that RFID chip. And it kind of helps keep a little bit of a track on it. I don't know if they're tracking individuals, if like they're all LoJack now or whatever, but you can submit things, or you can get access to doors, or that's your card, that's your code to get into places. And I thought, wow, that's actually a pretty neat idea. I know Americans would never go for it, but
No.
That would negate, oh, I forgot my ID, or I forgot my card, or, hey, can you let me in because I left my card at my desk, something along those lines. To me, that would up security, and it would up productivity, because now, hey, if so-and-so forgot his ID card at home, we don't have to worry about it because it's in his hand.
Or you get those situations that the fiction from movies comes true, and you have people getting their hands lopped off so that people could enter into these buildings illegally.
I hear the Swedish. They're pretty social and pretty friendly over there. I mean, that's why everybody keeps their offshore bank accounts in Switzerland, right?
Well, what's not to like about 6-foot-tall blonde Swedish women? I mean, come on.
I don't like women that are taller than me. I'm about 6 foot, but I don't like a couple inches shorter. I don't. You're demasculating me. Stop it. Stop it.
Sorry, I'm 6'1" and a half,
emasculate.
so 6 foot would be about perfect.
6 foot would be perfect.
Oh, my land.
No, but I thought that was a pretty neat thing, actually. I went, wow, that's pretty smart. I mean, at least to me anyway. I can't remember the whole article on it or anything, but I might have posted it to my Facebook or something. But I thought, well, that's a pretty neat idea, actually. Like I said, I highly doubt that Americans would go for it. They'd be like, no, you're invading one of my amendments, so piss off. So anywho, staying relevant, taking courses, doing all that.
This online no credit classes. Before we get into each one of them, far as I know of, Jeremy, you got a subscription to one or two of them or whatever. But between the ones that we can see for free, it's tons of informational stuff on YouTube. YouTube, Hackify, Twit TV, IT Pro TV, Coursera, and Udemy. Is it about the same level of information between a paid version or unpaid version, Jeremy?
Okay, so on Udemy and Coursera, you're going to have paid versions, and it all depends on the instructor that's building and presenting the courses. You can get some pretty good stuff at the free level, and you can find some pretty decent sales on a lot of this stuff too. Now, I think it was Udemy that recently came out with a notice that they're going to start standardizing the prices of their courses, and they're going to range from like $20 to $50. So if you can find a half off coupon online for a Udemy course, you're still only paying $10 for the cheaper ones. Coursera I've not done a lot with. I know it's out there. I believe Coursera is the one that has partnerships with other actual universities. But it's definitely worth looking into. I've looked at some of their stuff. I've not signed up for any courses with them at this point. YouTube, it's one of those, your mileage may vary. There's some great resources on YouTube. Professor Messer stuff is great. Eli the Computer Guy stuff is great.
Eli the Computer Guy.
But you also get your mix of people from other countries that barely speak English trying to do videos, or instead of talking in the videos, they'll just load it with techno music, which for me I find extraordinarily annoying. Like to the point where I have to remind myself that, as my father would say, everybody has their place. For some, it just hasn't been dug yet. But moving on down the list, Hack5, it's all free stuff. They do post their videos on YouTube, and they have moved to a format where they offer no ads in their videos, and they fund it with Patreon, if you're familiar with that, which is like a crowdfunding site. You can pledge, $1 per episode, or $5 a month or whatever, to help support them in producing all these videos.
Mm-hmm.
Twit.tv, again, is a free resource, and it's amazing some of the shows that they put on that. They do have ads, but they're not overbearing like some of the things that you see. They're generally pretty short, and they're generally narrated by the actual hosts of the shows. So I don't really mind those too much, especially for a free resource. And they actually post relevant ads for things that IT people would actually buy. And the other benefit of Twit.tv is they're a sponsor for IT Pro TV. And so if you watch some of the Twit TV shows like Security Now or This Week in Enterprise Tech or any of a number of other ones, those being two of my favorites, you can get yourself a 30% off discount code for your IT Pro TV subscription.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to IT Pro TV itself. I absolutely love this service. No, I am not being paid by them to say that.
I was going to ask that.
So I found out about this not long after they launched. And I started with the 30% discount, and they gave me an additional discount after I hit the 1-year mark. And they keep adding new content to their site. They've got 2 studios that record simultaneously at least 5 days a week. They have done at least one that I know of weekend course, and that was the Python course. They ran it 2 days in a row and brought in a Python expert to go through that and get people up to speed on Python. But they've got all kinds of training on ranging from Microsoft products to CompTIA certification prep. They've got courses on Apple, Macintosh stuff. They've got courses on Cisco and Linux and just about everything you can imagine. The big value add that comes with their subscription is that you get Transcender practice exams included. They've also got sandboxed virtual labs that you can use. And it really makes the value of the whole package go up for a relatively minimal monthly charge. Their most recent thing they added were premium labs. Myself, I signed up for the Certified Ethical Hacker Premium Lab, and that and that was $50 to have access to it for a whole year. So that's to me that was a huge value, and it allows me to do stuff that's all sandboxed in a virtual environment. I don't have to worry about setting up physical machines to do this, and it's just been a great resource for me to help me keep up on my skill set, and I feel like it's been something that ends up benefiting my students as well. So that's my 2 cents on each of those.
That was more like a quarter.
Okay.
It was very informational. I ain't gonna try to be an ethical hacker. I would just want to be a successful co-business owner. That's it.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind taking a stab at the Pentagon or the DoD. I mean, just kidding. Just kidding. Those guys get locked up and put in a shack somewhere in Guam, and you never hear or see from them again. So,
the black helicopters will be circling your location in 10 minutes.
Oh well, I'll enjoy this last 10 minutes.
It's nice knowing you.
Anybody got any vodka? No, definitely.
Here you go.
It is what it is. These are.
Go ahead.
These are definitely some good, free resources. IT Pro TV is, you got to pay for that, but that one's that sounds like a really good. You get your bang for your buck, and you can learn a lot of useful skills or information from it, or just brush up on some prior. Plus it's good just to keep up on it. I mean, hey, let's see what they got going on today. Ooh, I know a lot about that. Let's test my knowledge base, and follow along. So definitely
one of the ways you can stay relevant.
Yeah. So websites, anything IT related. Well, I do know about darkreading.com or darkreader.com, one of those two. What was it? Information Week. My boss just turned me on to that. Isn't there like Geek News or something like that? Jeremy is really the expert in all the. He's got a million websites, memorized. So I think this would definitely be your topic again, Jeremy.
Okay, so
I will be on that note. I gotta go get a cup of coffee real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, so the core of my websites that I visit on a daily basis, partially for entertainment value, partially for real news, and partially for a good laugh at the comments that you get from this. But I have, for the last more than 10 years, visited slashdot.org on a daily basis. LinuxToday.com to keep up on my Linux news, OS news, and LXER.com. I believe that's a .com. Give me just a second. That is a .com. There are other ones. The Register is a site out of the UK, and there's definitely some value to getting a European perspective on IT news. And since I don't speak German or French or Spanish, that's the UK is kind of where I have to draw my line. So. But there are a lot of sites out there. I've still not 100% got on the RSS bandwagon. I am starting to use it a little more to get stuff sent to my phone, and try to make better use of my time reading some of this stuff, since I've always got that phone on me. But I think it's still going to be a little while before I completely switch over. I'm a little old school in that regard, and in August I'll have been on the internet for 20 years, so I guess I'm entitled to be a little bit old school on some of this stuff. But you kids today will just never understand the torment of being on the internet in 1996. So.
Wow. What about PC World or like Lifehacker?
Lifehacker is good. Some of the mainstream stuff I kind of shy away from because it's a little more ad driven and a little more funded by whichever vendor. Most notably, one out of Redmond, Washington, might have the most money to pitch towards a certain magazine or website to, influence the writers to write favorable reviews of their products. So, I try to look at more indie stuff that's a little less biased in that regard.
Okay.
Absolutely. Tech News World. That's where I found the Google car stubs toe. If anybody wants to go check that out. This was an interesting story. I tried to talk about this last episode because I was really interested about it, because it's a really intriguing story, actually. So Google has some cars that drive themselves, and what had happened here was a Google car had pulled up to make a right-hand turn, so it had pulled off to the right side of the road and was getting ready to turn, but it had saw some sandbags that were in its way. So it checked behind it, and it saw that there was a bus coming, but it estimated that it had enough time that the bus could yield in order for the car to make the turn. And what had happened was the Google car had pulled out, and it was going at about 2 miles per hour, and the bus did not yield in time, and it had come by. The bus was going about approximately 15 miles per hour, and so the Google car kind of scraped up against it. So it wasn't like a big boom, accident. And even the DMV had did a investigation on it, and it estimated that the bus driver had roughly 3 seconds to react to the car coming out, and it failed to do so. So really, the Google car wasn't even at fault. It was the bus driver's fault. It wasn't
error.
Yeah. So it was just crazy that the car had estimated that the bus would have enough time to yield in order for the car to pull out and make the turn, but the bus didn't. So in 3 seconds, I mean, that's a long time, actually. I mean, 1001, 1002, 1003. Okay, you had plenty of time to see the car and to stop, but the bus failed to do so. So that was just interesting that, the car had gotten into an accident, and the article had said that the crappy part about these automated cars are that nobody really hears about them until something messes up on them. So, right. But to me, the interesting part, at least in my eyes, was, man, the car wasn't even at fault. It wasn't even really the car's fault. It was more of the bus driver's fault.
M&M coffee cup. Oh my.
An M&M coffee cup. Yep. I got peanut on this side, and then I don't know his name. I guess milk chocolate on that side. I don't know. Yep. It's one of my favorite ones. I drink a little coffee.
I'm looking at this one talking about Web Pro News, and one of the sections that caught me is e-commerce. I know a lot of times your local electronics store don't have a lot of things that IT people work with, so we ordering things off websites, not to be named, but most people have their favorite ones, and most people know an assortment of them. So with e-commerce and IT and a website like Web Pro News that analyzes this, is that something that you should always have those one or two? Because we talked about those websites, but Newegg, MCM, what's the one that just got sold, Jeremy? Tiger Direct.
Tiger Direct.
Yeah.
Wow. I used to like Tiger Direct too.
I gotta say, I have an Amazon Prime account, and I use that for almost all my online purchases. I just got into it. I actually was really against ordering things from online. I'd rather just go out to the store, even if it cost me a couple bucks more. Hey, I've got it in my hands. I can actually see it and physically touch it before I buy it. But I got a gift card for Christmas to Amazon, and I went, well, shoot, I've never even ordered anything off of Amazon before, and I haven't really been a huge fan of it. But then I started it, and I tried it, and now it's like addicting. Now I'm always scrounging around on Amazon to see if there's any deals on anything. So like I just got a new webcam, 1080p. That was originally $100, but it was only $44. And I thought, that's more than a 50% savings right there. I gotta pick that up. So I splurged and picked that up. But no, Amazon to me, and really I've never had any issues or any problems with them. I've only been using them for a couple months, but plus with the Prime account you get unlimited streaming for videos and movies. You get unlimited. You can use their cloud service for uploading photos. You get unlimited photo storage. So you get a heck of a lot bang for your buck getting an Amazon Prime account, and it's only $100. And actually, I found out if you're a student, I didn't know this until after the fact, but if you're a student, you can get an Amazon Prime account for a whole year for $50 for 50% off.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so you can get an Amazon Prime account for $50 right now if you're a student.
Yeah, when I first got mine, it was free for students.
Oh, shut up. Was that when you were riding your Triceratops to class?
Ah, ha, 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 ha. Right.
Did you have to hire someone to like pick up his dong?
Ooh.
I meant his poop, his shit,
Oh, D-U-N-G is what
his
you're talking
dung.
about.
Sorry,
Okay. I heard that wrong.
I said it wrong. I said dong.
Oh, okay. So I'm not hearing things.
Oh my lantern.
Oh my lantern.
Backblaze. Backblaze. $50 a year for unlimited data backup. No, I'm not sponsoring them. I'm just simply reading the script that the resident guru got us going over. Um, I think one of the main reasons that this is on here, talking about unlimited data backup, is because I've learned through experience of doing these free PC clinics we do for the open public. People bring in PCs, desktops, whatever, and they get them from the store and turn them on and never make an original backup. It's
Mm-hmm.
been proven. Jeremy said it all the time. They have proven it to me numerous times, and people just don't back up stuff. Then when it get broke, you got to buy a recovery disk, or you got to have this, or you can't get into the recovery partition. Backup. Say it with me, Mac. Backup.
Back up. Woosah.
Jeremy,
Back up.
backup.
Back up.
Well, I think as a technician, a good rule of thumb is every good technician has at least 2 to 3 backups of almost everything they work on. Uh, but your average user doesn't really need that. I mean, maybe they'll back up their photos or something to an external or something along those lines, but your average Joe doesn't really need those kind of services.
I beg to differ.
Well, at least in my opinion, if you want to back up your photos, or maybe you got some personal files, or maybe you keep a lot of, maybe you scan your tax documents and keep them, on your computer, something like that. You definitely want those kinds of things backed up. Or maybe you're a big music guru and you want all your music backed up, something along those lines. But I know iTunes, all your music and all your purchases are backed up in their cloud. I think you only get like 10 gigs of storage or something like that, though, right, Jeremy? I think it's 5 or 10. With Apple Cloud, you can.
I have no idea. I don't use iCloud.
I know you can purchase additional storage, I think, but I think it's 5 or 10 gigs, one of the two.
When I found out that iCloud actually backs up to Microsoft-owned computers, I decided that I would never use that service.
Well, I buy some music via iTunes here and there, so it's nice to know that all that. And plus, I own an iPhone, so all my apps and everything are all backed up in the cloud. So you just instead of having a SIM card, you just buy a new phone and poof, all your stuff's backed up on it. But yeah, no, Backblaze is definitely, my boss actually just turned me on to that too. He's like, hey man, $50 a year, you can back up all your stuff. But the only limitations to that, my understandings are that you can only download it on one PC. You can only have one computer per account, and then they don't have anything for Linux users at the moment. I hear they're working on it.
Right. Well, Backblaze, I'm aware of it. It would not be my first choice. For my backups, what's the name of this? Let me pull this guy up. I use CrashPlan, and the nice thing about that is, again, you're paying, I think, $60 a year. I think I might have a discount to get it lower, but it's unlimited backup. Their client offers the ability to back up not only to the cloud, to their cloud service, but you can back up to a friend's computer across town or someplace, so that you could get a quicker restore process going on. If it's backed up to your friend's computer, you just take your laptop or whatever, go over to their place, jump on their network, and you're backing up at local network speeds instead of whatever limitation is imposed by your internet provider. So there's CrashPlan. There's different ones out there like Jungle Disk that uses Amazon S3 as a back end for it. And Amazon's storage rates continue to go down, which is only a good thing. And there are some other ones out there too that have various features that make them attractive for different segments. You were mentioning.
I really like. I just came across Dropbox. And you can have a free account for up to 2 gigs, and it's really neat. It's a lot like Google Drive, except it's a little more beefier. It's got a few more features, I believe. I'm not too familiar with it, but I did download their free version, which gives you 2 gigs of storage, or you can upgrade to their Pro Edition, which is you can get a terabyte of storage. I think that's $10 a month, or they have their business one where that's unlimited storage, but the only catch to that is that it's $15 a month, so it's a bit pricey, but it is a lot like Google Drive as far as you can share documents. I believe you can download it on multiple computers via the same account, so you can back up multiple computers that way. I'm not sure if they offer for Linux clients yet, but I do know it is available for Windows or Mac users. And I really like it. I really like their layout and how their site is set up. It's really easy. Like I said, it's really similar to Google Docs, but just with a few more bonus features. So,
right, it's good for what it is. It's not really in the same class as a Backblaze for a backup service, but it's definitely useful if you need to make files available for other people, or be able to edit something remotely yourself. So, but yeah, there's a number of services out there, both on the backup side and similar to a Dropbox or a Google Drive. The big questions today is really focusing around encryption of your data. And some of the services offer encryption before it leaves your computer, and some of them don't. And it's up to the end user to kind of decide what is more important for them. And maybe they're of the mind that I don't have anything worth stealing, so I'm not going to bother with it. I don't recommend that approach to things, but to each their own. I guess things like that are why IT guys like us have jobs. So
I suppose. Hey.
You could look at it from our perspective and just call it job security.
Good job security. Like I said, I think every decent technician has at least 2 backups on hand. So whether that be you're backing up to a cloud and you have an external somewhere, something on site, plus it's saved on your computer. But yeah, definitely it's good to have a backup. But like I said, your typical user though, your average end user, maybe they just don't see the necessity to back things up, or maybe they just don't feel like they have anything worth backing up, so they don't worry about it. Or, honestly, I think a lot of folks...
Most of them don't with new computers. Is blank. They, in the process of it, but not having personal information or whatever to put on a new computer, I think end users don't understand they are preserving the actual OS, the actual settings in backup data.
Yeah, definitely. Taking an image of it or whatever, a good backup. But it is what it is. Some people are going to do it, other people aren't. If you got some schoolwork, Google Drive is probably more than sufficient. But I mean, if you got a lot of music or something that you want on there, then hey, better get your shit together. That's all I can say. Oops, I swore. I know I said that we were going to tone it down on the swearing, or I was going to tone it down on the swearing.
Yo.
I know, right? There I go. But yeah, no, Backblaze is definitely, like I said, my boss uses that, and he swears by it. Okay, remote desktop. What do we want to talk about with remote desktop?
Well, again, this was based on some viewer feedback from last week.
Oh, we had someone give some feedback?
Yeah. So the main players out there, you've got RDP, which is Windows only. You can't use RDP generally to connect to a Mac or a Windows machine. TeamViewer is sort of a platform agnostic tool, but it's expensive for business use. It's only free for personal use, so if there's any people from companies out there that are using it for business use, make sure you get that licensed before the software police come and knock down your door.
The software.
And then there's VNC. Again, this dates back to the late 90s, the VNC RFB protocol. It's not a secure protocol. There are ways that you can go about, such as tunneling over SSH if you're going between Unix or Linux servers, and be able to use it and have it secured. For a Windows machine or a Mac, if you're not going through a VPN or connected on a local network, it has some questionable security bits. Now with VNC, there are various offshoots or forks of the original software. Ultra VNC is Windows only. Was last updated in January of this year. Tight VNC, it doesn't appear that there's been an update since 2014, so that leaves a few questions there. Turbo VNC, which this was a new one to me. This seems to be the one to watch. It was forked from Tight VNC back in 2004. So about 12 years ago. It's had many bug fixes. They've implemented full IPv6 support, and it has been enhanced to handle 3D graphics. And they've really just sort of optimized the whole thing so it doesn't use as much CPU time and whatnot. So, if you're on a budget, the VNC products might be worth taking a look at. For day-to-day use, given some of the extra configuration they require. It's great for tech people. I cannot recommend it for end users. That's where some of the other products might come into play. One I've used is Splashtop, which they just rolled out a feature where an end user can click a link on a website, and it will request a technician, and then you as the technician can connect to them. They don't have to ever install any software. It's just clicking a link on that website. So that makes that nice. There are other products out there that offer something similar, like Screen Connect. I believe TeamViewer has a similar feature. Another one that was brought up in some of our feedback last week was Dameware, which, again, it requires Windows for the main server component installation, but the clients can be installed on Windows OS X and Linux. So you can then access any of those three platforms. And then, of course, there's SSH, which is Secure Shell. and that's mainly available on Unix and Linux machines. It is not built into Windows. So there are ways that you can go about adding that, but that's beyond the scope of this podcast tonight. So any questions from you guys or clarification on any of that stuff?
That sounds good to me. I don't know. I really, you covered it all pretty well. The resident guru over there.
Oh, and you females out there that's watching this or have watched some of our episodes, feel free to post. We don't discriminate. We try to assist everyone possible and research. I like doing this. I'm pretty sure Mac like doing it. The resident guru, this is his life. He loves it.
Yes.
I found out recently that he liked food better than he liked IT, though.
What? Where'd you get that idea from?
He liked food.
Oh, jeez.
Cheese and crackers.
Yeah.
Cheese and crackers.
Speaking of which, is it time for us to end this so we can go get tacos?
What?
I gotta go to class in the morning, learn some Python coding.
You guys are gonna go get tacos?
I got to go to class in the morning and teach. So
I gotta go to work in the morning.
Mac?
I gotta go to work early in the morning, bright and early, Monday morning. Monday fun day, as I like to call it.
Yes.
Monday fun day. Yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps up this episode. We're sorry for the technical difficulties for take one. Yeah, but we got rolling again in take two. So I think we're getting it locked down. I think we're starting to get some traction here. As far as getting these things rolling. But yeah, anybody watching or listening, definitely give us some feedback. Give us some topics you guys want to hear about. Right now we're just kind of shooting in the dark and talking about some stuff that we want to talk about. But if there's anything that anyone who's listening, if there's anything you're interested in or anything you want us to brush up on, leave us a comment in the comment section. And if you could take 2 seconds out of your day to give us a like, that would be awesome too.
Yeah, it sure would.
Yeah,
and there is a subscribe link as well.
There is. Subscribe. You'll get updates to your Facebook and all that good stuff about, hey, we're coming out with a new episode. Come watch it. But yeah, we're gonna at least, every Sunday we're gonna get together and do this. We're talking about trying to get together during the week days to do one of these, but our schedules are a little conflicted at the moment. So, but we will, if we can do a midweek episode, I'm pretty sure that we will.
Or some of you big businesses want to sponsor an episode, maybe for a product review or something.
Hey, yeah. Anybody want to send us some free stuff we can get our hands on? Absolutely. We always enjoy free things.
Yeah, so, IT guys always like free stuff.
We love free stuff. That goes from phones to routers to switches, the Raspberry Pis, anything we can get our hands on, even a new computer. I would love an all-in-one. If anybody's watching, send me an all-in-one. That'd be great.
Synology, network attached storage, or QNAP, or ASUS Store, or any of you guys that are listening, feel free. We'd be very happy to do product reviews.
Yeah, IP cameras, monitors, lights, anything y'all want us to review, definitely.
Arduinos, Intel Edisons.
Oh, yes, those as well. And you know what? We do food reviews too. Jeremy loves food, so if you want to send him some new Cheetos or something, absolutely.
Hey, now that's Daryl that eats the Cheetos.
Daryl likes munchies. Yes, he likes the brand
I'm signing off for the night, fellas. I gotta take a long drive home, and hopefully we can find some time to maybe do a midweek edition.
All right, guys.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Okay. We will see you minimum of next week. See ya.
All right.